Hello! Welcome back to our channel. This is the 7th episode, 3 Slaves and a Hero, of the story Shadow Slave. We are presenting this in a true storytelling style today, so buckle up, because right now, survival hangs by a seriously thin thread. We drop right into the thick of this desperate, adrenaline-fueled chaos. Roll, you creaky piece of shit. Imagine Sonny pressing his entire body against this massive, heavy wagon, pushing with absolutely everything he's got left. The 4 powerful oxen that used to pull this beast, yeah, they're dead. And stepping into their place, we have 3 completely exhausted slaves, Sonny, Benny, and Frazier, trying to pull off the impossible. Even with the road sloping downward, they are moving at an agonizingly slow pace. It's pure desperation.
And why are they so desperate? Well, it's because of the absolute nightmare unfolding right behind them. It's this brutal, terrifying contrast. On one side, you've got the Mountain King, a literal tyrant moving dangerously fast, swinging these fearsome long bone claws perfectly designed for tearing flesh apart. And holding the line against it, the young soldier. He's being pushed back, sure, but he is executing these incredibly precise defensive movements to stay alive.
Now, here's where things get interesting. The Mountain King's massive size and those deadly claws suddenly become a huge disadvantage. You see, the creature is desperately trying to grab a chained noose that has somehow gotten wrapped around its neck. But its claws are just too clumsy. They aren't made for delicate work. It's struggling, trying so hard not to accidentally slice its own throat open. This is such a brilliant moment of tension because that tiny, brief delay buys our slaves just enough time to push the rear wheels of the wagon right up to the edge of a dark, seemingly bottomless cliff.
As the wagon finally starts to tip, half of its wood just hanging out over the abyss, the violent jolt knocks Benny and Frazier right off their feet. The wagon literally freezes for a second, balancing perfectly on its middle axle. And in that terrifying, heart-stopping moment, the beast feels a sharp tug on its chain. It turns, and it just stares at the fallen slaves with its 5 milky, dead, completely expressionless eyes. Talk about chilling. So now Sonny is the only one left standing. What does he do? He looks right up at this towering nightmare, flashes it this absolutely wicked smile, and just slams his shoulder into the front of the wagon with every single ounce of strength he has left in his body. The wagon loses its balance and plummets over the edge, violently scraping against the jagged rocks on the way down. Sonny lands hard on his knees, barely, and I mean barely, saving himself from getting dragged over the cliff with it.
The Mountain King instantly lunges for Sonny, but man, it is way too late. That heavy chain attached to the falling wagon snaps perfectly tighter on the creature's neck. With this tremendous, bone-crushing force, the tyrant is yanked backward, flying right over the edge of the cliff like a rag doll. And the craziest part? It falls into the absolute darkness completely silently. It's almost like it flat-out refuses to believe it was just defeated by some scrawny, tiny human.
Die, you giant bastard.
Dropping onto the cold stones in utter, complete exhaustion, Sonny stares up at the night sky. He's waiting for that faintly familiar, elusive voice to chime in and announce his grand victory. But his silent question, "Did I pass the trial?" is met with absolute silence. No grand announcement, no victory bell. Instead of triumph, brutal reality sets in. A terrifying wave of physical agony finally catches up to his completely battered body. His joints are flaring with intense pain. The skin on his back is slashed raw from a slaver's whip, and his flesh is literally burning where it got pierced by the bone spikes of a newborn larva. He starts shivering violently, totally consumed by this dreadful, biting cold. His thoughts get slow and muddy, and he realizes with this horrible sinking feeling that his first nightmare is far, far from over. Section 1. The Somber Aftermath. A dark figure suddenly looms over Sonny. It's the young soldier, extending a helping hand, which, true to form, Sonny stubbornly ignores. When he finally drags himself to his feet and takes a look around, the scene is just devastating. I mean, utterly gruesome. Except for the 3 slaves and this heroic soldier, every single member of the caravan is dead. Bodies are littering the ground, horribly maimed, some torn to pieces. There are repulsive larva carcasses scattered everywhere. And right in the middle of it all, the shadows from the bonfire are just dancing happily across the stone, completely unbothered by the absolute carnage around them. Sonny is entirely numb to the whole thing. Section 2. A Misfit Among Men. The soldier tells the remaining slaves to gather around the fire to discuss their next move, but Sonny purposefully goes and sits apart from the group. He doesn't do this because he distrusts one person more than another. He does it because he honestly just doesn't know how to interact with people. Sonny feels like a total misfit. He feels like he was born missing this small but super important gear in his brain. It's like there's an invisible wall between him and the rest of the world. Human behavior just baffles him, and whenever he tries to diligently imitate it, it usually falls flat and just makes everyone uncomfortable.
And, well, you know what happens when you're different, right? People hate you for it. So over time, Sonny learned to embrace his isolation. It became his shield. Sitting quietly by himself, totally lost in his own thoughts, is a habit that has actually kept him alive. It made him completely self-reliant and has quite literally saved him from being stabbed in the back by shady characters in the past. So right now, he has absolutely zero desire to share his survival with 3 strangers.
Section 3. The Soldier's Plan.
After this really tense silence, the young soldier finally speaks up and introduces himself as Gregor. Benny immediately gives this cynical, mocking scoff, but Gregor just completely ignores it. He's incredibly rational about their next steps. He lays it out. Step 1, wait for sunrise. Step 2, scavenge whatever food and water they can find. And step 3, head back down the mountain. Why? Because the path over the mountain pass is insanely long and grueling. Without the massive supply cache that just went off a cliff, their chances of surviving the climb up are practically zero. Going down is their one and only hope.
But Sonny is not having it. He shoots Gregor this wildly defiant look and just challenges him flat out. Why should we go back? To be put in chains again? Gregor lets out a heavy sigh and explains that they can go their completely separate ways once they're actually off the mountain. But until then, he still feels entirely responsible for their lives.
Frazier stays quiet through all this, but Benny actually chimes in, and surprisingly, he is totally on board with Gregor's logic. He completely waves Sonny off, laughing and telling Gregor not to even listen to the kid, calling him crazy and touched by the gods. But right in the middle of this debate, Sonny speaks up again, shattering the whole conversation with this sudden, calm, and absolutely chilling statement, "We can't go down." Gregor frowns, instantly defending Sonny's bravery to Benny, pointing out that Benny is only alive right now because of this kid's actions. Then, Gregor turns his full attention back to the scrawny slave who just saved all their lives, and he asks the ultimate question, the exact question we are all wondering right now. Tell me, why can't we go down?
Sonny shifts around, clearly uncomfortable being the center of attention, but he looks right at them and he delivers this horrifying realization that makes the entire crackling campfire fall dead silent. Because the monster isn't dead. What a massive cliffhanger to end on. If you like the story, please like and share it, and subscribe to the channel to watch future episodes. Thanks for watching.